Hi everyone, Huw Ware here. Welcome to the latest episode of Tops and Tails. This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV, the live and free streaming service that is the home of the MODUS Super Series. Watch every dart live and exclusive only on Pluto TV. No sign-up required, no fees, just non-stop darting action as well as thousands of shows and movies for you to enjoy. Download the Pluto TV app now and start streaming on your smart TV. The link is in the show description. My special guest today exploded onto the dart scene in 2019, winning one of the World Series events down under in what was back then probably one of the biggest shocks in recent memory. But nowadays, him winning a tournament is anything but a shock, as he has established himself as one of the finest players in the world today. It is none other than the Heat, Mr. Damon Heta. Hi, Damon.
Hey, g'day. Thanks for having me, my man.
Good day. How are you doing?
Yeah, brilliant, mate.
Can I ask you, so all the sort of good day and all the rest of it, that never sort of leaves you, even though you've been over in the UK now for, my God, 5-6 years now you've been over here. Things like that sort of never leave you, do they?
Yeah, I think more or less I just do it to do it. Yeah, I don't know. But I do pick up some lingo and depends who I'm around, and I just try to just say stuff just because that's what other people are used to. It just rubs off on you, I guess. Yeah, and sometimes I felt like now I seem to say proper a lot, because everyone says, oh, that's proper good, that's proper this, and I'm like, I don't remember me even saying that back then, but what would I have said if it not proper? Yeah, I don't know, weird.
See, isn't it funny how we like sort of pick up things from different people, don't we, from different cultures or whoever it is? Yeah. You know, we need to get you onto like sort of well sick, you know, and all this sort of street lingo, don't we? Yeah. Because well sick to me, that's something bad. Like if you're sick, you're being ill. So that's bad, isn't it? But that's supposed to be good.
That's well sick. That's good. Yeah.
And do you know what else I can't do? I'm going to show that I can't do this. You know, all that that sort of lad stuff. But you're supposed to click your finger. That's it. How do you do that?
I just let your finger loose, don't you? And then it just clicks on the other two.
My finger's anything but loose. It just seems like it's just no good. So how did darts come into your life, first of all?
Yeah, so my parents played, pretty much. My parents played. Even my granddad played. Back in the day, and I just remember, him. I remember going to his place and throwing darts there as well. Like when I was my primary school was just down the road from them, so every time after school I would go to their place, and they had a dartboard set up, and they used to have the feather flights and the big brass bombers and that. So I would probably have a chuck there and then without. No real intention, obviously, just throwing because you could throw darts, I guess.
Were they good players, your mum and dad?
Oh yeah, they were decent. They were like in the area. They were always in the say like the A League or the first division, and then played like a summer comp and stuff like that. And and I was just the only way I got into it sort of was like I just filled in one night. That was pretty much it, to play like a summer league, and just I was good at most sports and stuff. But that's how I really come about just going, oh yeah, darts. And the only reason I really said yes was I got to play on a weeknight and staying up till like midnight in a pub, or you know what I mean? I was like, oh yes.
And how old would you have been back then?
Yeah, about 14, 15, something like that. Yeah, that's when I pretty much first started. Yeah.
So you were a sporty kid. So it was cricket, it was rugby.
Yeah. I grew
football
up.
so much, or
not really. I played a season. I played a season just because my mates played AFL. I was more of a rugby league guy. I grew up playing league. I played softball. I played at a pretty decent standard there as a kid. But then once you turn, pretty much out of school. So 17, I left. I didn't finish year 12. I think I got in year 11, and then I was more of a hands-on guy, and went straight into like an apprenticeship and stuff like that. But yeah, I played sports leading all the way up to then. But then when life kicked in, that's when darts was probably more feasible, because you had your weeknights pretty much free and not your weekends. I used to work weekends a lot as well. But yeah, I picked up playing cricket here or there and stuff like that. But yeah, I was always interested in any sport. I'd give anything a go just because I felt like I'm half decent at anything.
Blessed with hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Anything you turned your hand to.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a little bit later on, but I'll ask you now since you mentioned it. You mentioned an apprenticeship there.
Yeah.
An apprenticeship in what, Damon? What did you do for work?
So I did metal roofing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we call it's roof plumbing back home. But yeah, just metal roofing, commercial, domestic, the whole works type deal. Yeah.
And how did you do that straight out of school? Did you basically?
I did have a couple of other little jobs, just like testing the waters, you could say, or try this, try that, just make a bit of money here and there. But it wasn't until where roofing. My dad is a roofer. He's still roofing now.
Right.
And he shouldn't be. He's getting too old for that. It's a young man's game. But anyway, he still loves it, and he's still good at it, and he loves getting out there and doing it. But yeah, it was good money at the time for as an apprentice as well, compared to I had a couple of I tried an engineering job, and then I tried a like textile and what would you call it, upholstery and stuff like that.
Okay.
But that wasn't like obviously being young. Oh no, I'm going where the money is. So, but yeah, with the good money was hard work and stuff like that. So I just jumped pretty much straight into it with the old boy, get me along on board with a company, and I just went and done an apprenticeship through them. And it wasn't before too long when I finished that, I was like, oh, well, we'll try and start my own stuff going, and things just exploded from there. And I was never out of work and always a hard worker. And darts was always just a social thing and just a one-night thing. And then when the comps come along for where we were, and I'd play in all them, and I didn't really travel much for it, because it's obviously like you on that side of the world, it's never perceived as like a where you could make a living. Or it's a job, or it's just not that big. So,
did you feel that you were always good at darts, Damon? Because if I may say so, I think you're a smashing player. I really do. I think you're absolutely brilliant. Were you always that way? No, absolutely. No, you deserve it. No, but really, was it something that you were always very good at? Or have you developed your game over the years?
It depends. So there's levels, isn't there? So as a kid, matching it up with the other kids that were around, besides Kyle, he was next level. I was decent. I got into there's state teams when you're a young kid. You got the junior state team, and then you'd go away and play in the nationals and stuff. So my first year, I'm pretty sure my first year of that, trying out for the team, I made the team. I was like, oh, great. So I played in the junior stuff, and then qualified, and I played for seniors, and then so I was good at the levels that I needed to be good. Once I always set myself goals and stuff. So each year I went up by 10 in my average, and then the following year another 10. And it wasn't until I got to about an 80 plus average is where I sort of stagnated out, because I wasn't putting in that extra time. It was just, that's probably enough. There's no point going any further. And it's pretty much not until the PDC came over, and then when Kyle went over and made all the big news about it, you could say, and the PDC coming over, because then you were like, oh, you get to play on TV and you get to do this, and it's bigger than it actually is. And I never really looked into this side of the world of how it actually is, where I think Kyle did that early. So he was pretty much the go-to guy. Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, so was it so basically you got to an 80 average and then sort of stagnated out? You weren't sort of taking it seriously as a professional. Was that because of the lack of opportunities, basically? You didn't feel as if there was a chance of making a professional living from this? Yeah,
because I made it to that stat. It felt like because I made the Australian team for 1 year in 2011, and that was on the WDF side. Yeah. So I pretty much you think that's the pinnacle. What else really is there? You win the Australian this and that, great. But I never really seen beyond that to go, the PDC and this and that. And I didn't look that far into it, because like I said, I had a great life in Oz where, business was great. My wife's working, I'm building a house, and I built a couple of houses, family, and just life ticks on, doesn't it? You know what I mean? And them things are more important than me looking at something so selfishly like that, because it is a big selfish move, and it's a big selfish thing to play. Because I remember probably even 10 years ago, and because I played darts, and then when the weekend comps, I would do all the dart stuff, and I just remember my wife saying pretty much I would say, what about me leaving, and we'll go over to UK and we'll try that. And she was dead set going, we're not doing that. Rah, 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 rah. It was
really, and that was before before you.
This was well before. This was probably when Kyle first probably started coming over and stuff like that. Because it was never. I was like, maybe we could go and do we're not doing that. Right? I'm not. And sure enough, we're here now. But
you mentioned the World Series. All of a sudden it was like, Kyle Anderson went over, and then the PC started coming to Australia. Then it was almost like, oh right, okay, there could be something in this for me now.
Yeah.
So, what are your memories of the World Series when you first started going up on that stage?
Yeah. So I remember my first one, 2014, and I was actually first on the night as well. To qualify though, this is where it started. To qualify, there was 4 spots. I think there was 4 spots, and me and a couple of other mates were like, "Oh, let's just go and give it a crack and see what happens." So we all flew over and had like made a weekend of it, or a week of it.
So can I just stop you there? You have to fly everywhere to get to Australia. You get planes, like we get buses.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was something that I learned. My one and only time in Australia, 2022, I think it was.
Yeah.
Didn't realise just how vast Australia is in size.
Yeah.
I think we flew into Sydney, then took a 2.5-hour flight up to Townsville.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah.
But we hadn't even gone. So we were going north from Sydney there, but we hadn't even covered from one end of the country to the other. We were only going sort of like half the distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you guys have to like fly everywhere. It's insane.
So yeah, for obviously Perth to Sydney, that was I think it was like a 4.5-hour flight, something like that.
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Good God. Yeah.
So had to do that, and then hire a car, go down to Wollongong because that's where it was. The qualifiers as well was down in there.
Right.
And so we went there. We had the week there. And then I ended up qualifying on the last qualifying day, and I played GG Gordon Mathers. I had to play him in the final, and 2 back-to-back legs, I went double, like not intent. One of them was intentional, the other one wasn't, but like. Yeah, and I got qualified, and I was just so happy just to qualify. Like, that's it. Yes, I'm on TV, and then now it's like, I have to come up with a nickname. I have to have a walk-on song. I'm like, oh no, like I haven't even prepared for this. So yeah, and I ended up just asking my mate, what do you think we should use and whatever, and I just come up with it was silly. It was called I put down the Crusader, and I had a song.
That's right. You were the Crusader, weren't you?
Yeah. It just never suited anyway. Like it just wasn't. Yeah, it was just a name to come up with straight away. And so I was pretty stoked. And then we ended up, obviously I had to go back and then go back to Sydney for the Masters, the World Series. And I drew Chizzy first game, and I'm first on. So I get in the back room, you got so-and-so. I think I'm not sure who else was there.
What was Phil Taylor there?
Yeah, Taylor was there.
Gosh.
Yeah,
but that first time meeting Phil?
Yeah, first time I've been that close in that vicinity with him,
overwhelming.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
or
probably
intimidating. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but I didn't really follow the darts a great deal to know really.
Okay.
What it was about, I wasn't that in depth going. Yeah, like fantasizes over the darts, or like a massive fanatic about the darts. So it wasn't really that thing. I was just happy to be there, and like my mates get to see me on TV, and they can have a cheeky punt here as well, and that. And so I drew that, and I remember going for the bull, and I'm like, because normally you just go for bull, where it's just the player going for bull. Oh yeah. Inside, outside, whatever, or who's closest or things. So it felt so official that you had an official there. And then, you're having the ball at this time. You can't. You're first. This is your walk on. So I'm like, what? I don't want to do anything wrong, and I don't want to look like an idiot. So what happened? We went for the ball, and ended up winning the ball. And then Tommy Cox was the guy, and he goes, "All right, mate, do you want the darts and thing?" And I'm like, what darts? What do you got? I had no clue. That's his
3 of them.
Yeah, that's it. Like that was his lingo, and I was like, and then people just lost it in the room. I'm like, oh no, idiot. Yeah, and then I'm like first guy to walk out, so I don't know. I mean, I've seen the darts obviously, but not been in that environment. Live and personal to see, like the first guy walking out. What do you do? This and that. So I was pretty much a deer in the headlights, wasn't I? So, but
an out of body experience.
Yeah,
and the fact that you're on first, talk about being in the deep end.
I know that was pretty much it. I was like, all I could have is whatever advice like Kyle gave or whoever else was just telling me and that. So yeah, I've gone out there, and the weirdest, like Chizzy doesn't remember this. Yeah, he goes and bashes me up 6-0. I average like 88 or something. He averages 100, and every time I remind him about it, I was like, "Remember that?" No clue, no idea.
Well, to be fair, I mean, an 88 average isn't the worst average in the world. I mean, especially for someone who was their first time, all those experiences you just described, all those thoughts and feelings, to go up there and average 88, to me, that's actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
I remember watching you win your World Series title, and I must be honest, Damon, that was the first time that I became aware of you. And sounds silly to say because you won the thing, but you could just tell that you got it.
Yeah.
You have it, whatever it is, you have. And And to me, even though you lost 6-0, going up there and averaging 88 is actually still evidence of that to me, because there were so many people who would have gone up there who would not have played as well as that. Yes, okay, you didn't win a leg, but that's just like the way the match panned out. Chizzy played well, whatever. But yeah, so after that tournament, did you feel as if, right, okay, now there's more opportunities for me, I'm going to start taking this game more seriously?
Probably not then. I still played the darts, but I think, like I said, I still had a lot of life stuff that I was doing, and I think that I had my own matters to attend there.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Did you play in a lot of DPA events? The Dart Players.
I think the most of them that I played all the ones that came to WA to Perth. I wasn't the one to travel, because I would look at, obviously I'd look at money and this and that. I'm going, well, it's not really worth it for me. Like my end goal is not where other people's end goals were. So I just took what was in Perth mostly. I might have travelled for like the rare occasion, only because some mates went. But if anything, I travelled mostly for the World Series qualifiers. That was it. Yeah, because it was so much on offer.
What do you make of darts in Australia, Damon, over the years that you've been playing? Because obviously the DPA has been there for a long time. I gather there's been a lot of sort of politics going on over the last few years. We now have an Australian Premier League on its way. Which is going to be in a Premier League style format. You know, all the best players of Australia and New Zealand playing, to these packed out audiences of 3,000-4,000 people, however many people there's going to be. Every week, October through to the end of November, I think it is, beginning of December, late November. Which I guess you agree that's a great opportunity for these players. But what do you make of the state of darts in Australia, Damon, at the moment?
Yeah, like you said, there's all these different organisations, and they're not in cahoots with each other. So it's almost like, and the players seem to, you know what, I'm just playing this thing and that's it. Because of whatever reason about the other stuff, they might have a grudge against it, or that's not run properly. They don't like that. This is what I'm doing, and this, so it's hard to accommodate for everyone as well, especially obviously being vast. That's one big issue. Another issue is the levels. So you always, like, it seems like, some things will be accommodating just the top guys, and then some things will just be accommodating just the lower guys as well. So it's hard to have one thing that accommodates everybody. That's where it's so difficult, I think.
Without trying to put words in your mouth, Damon, do you think that darts in Australia would benefit if there was just one organisation, just one umbrella organisation running everything? Would that be a benefit, or?
To a certain degree, I think.
How many
probably not.
organisations are there, Damon, if you don't mind me asking?
I think there's there's the WDF side, or the BDO, or whatever it is, right? So that's, they play, say, they got their own different states that play that you qualify for, like, you play like state teams, and then you play for the national, for your state team in the national tournament.
Okay.
So the DPA side of things is obviously it's all singles, isn't it? So it's just yourself, so that doesn't matter. And it just the only thing that really matters is what location it is. And if it's in a good location for you, you're probably more or less going to go to it. But if it's in, like I said, from WA to the other side of the thing, you're going to have to pay, $500-600 in flights, and then you got your accommodation, and then so to win one, you'd have to win one just to get all that money back. And then you're flying out a Friday. So you're probably taking a Friday off work, or probably even a Thursday night or something, and then you're flying back on a Monday, or hopefully a Sunday night to try and go back to work on a Monday. And that's what I mean about the end goals and stuff. So if you have got a big end goal about you're wanting to come to the UK, you're going to make them sacrifices to do that. That's what, But I think, I don't know, there's obviously we've got the ADA now coming in as well. So that's just more opportunity, and it's just showing that there's another world spot, so it depends on the people taking it serious or not. Depends how serious they want to get with it. And
I must say, when you describe it the way that you do, I can understand more why you didn't necessarily take it as to, because it sounds like a lot, and if you had other things to do with your life as well, I can understand why you might want to focus more on that than the actual sort of darts and the landscape of darts, I suppose, in Australia. I mean, there must be great players over there who are some of the best, the great Australian dart players that have influenced you, Damon.
So I played when I did first start, and I seen so Graham Hunt, he won the 2000
something.
Yes, 2000 something. I think it was like the windmill, was it the windmill? Oh, I can't remember. But yeah, we played. I was in the same association and stuff. So, he was a big player.
Well, do you remember Tony David?
Tony.
Was he the first? So that was 2002, wasn't it? Was he sort of?
Yeah, so first, he was 20. Yeah, I think, him. You had Fleety. Anthony Fleet, he the worst thing, he's probably known for one game on that stage. With a lot of darts.
Yes, there were a lot of darts in one leg. Yeah, sorry, Tony. Sorry.
I think so.
Well, Simon Whitlock, he must have made a big impression on you when he made the final of the PDC in 2010, wasn't it?
So he's probably the one that's really, you know what I mean? He's the one that when you think of Australian darts, Simon, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Like, he's the dude with the dreadies and so he's.
What's he like to play doubles with, Damon? Because he's been your doubles partner. You won the World Cup. Together.
Yeah, he's a different animal. I think when he gets up for the World Cup, he loves it, doesn't he? Just loves it. Yes. And you can see that in how compared to a normal tournament on a pro tour or something, obviously it means so much more, doesn't it? Loves putting on the green and gold and you can see, but I think you can see that with a lot of players, and it just adds more pressure, doesn't it? That's pretty much it. And just because you want to perform and you want to represent well and play your best darts, and sometimes it just works the opposite way, and you just try too hard. But with Simon, it's he just feels comfortable and looks like a different animal up there.
So let's fast forward to your World Series title win.
Yeah.
What are your memories of that weekend? I'm guessing you weren't expecting yourself to do what you ended up doing.
No. I expected myself. All I was concentrating on was winning one game, because if I won one game, then it meant it might be probably enough points to go and play in the World Series finals, which was in Amsterdam or whatever. And I was like, oh yes, if I win one game, because I know I'm in the next one of the World Series, so I'll get another point there. And then so winning a game was pretty much the main goal. I do remember 2018 though. That's when I made the decision to take darts real seriously and do the tournament, do the traveling, and do everything and get to where I need to get to. And the only reason we really came about that and getting the wife on board, it was we were in the back room. The only ones we were in the back room the second night after I beat. I think I beat Kyle on the Friday, and then on the Saturday in the practice room there was just me, Michael Smith, Gary Anderson, and my missus, and we were just sitting at a table, just us, and then just talking about the darts and the tour, and it was pretty much like we were there for like 2 hours just talking crap, pretty much, and it was more or less convincing. Yeah, the wife was convinced and everything, and so.
And Michael and Gary were saying,
you get to travel, you get to see the world, you get to. You know what I mean? It's a decent living. It's you got to you get the free time as well, and like pretty much what you got to lose type thing. So we obviously after that that weekend, and me and the wife just spoke about it and planned about things, and really all right, this needs to be in place, that needs to happen, this needs to happen, and so on and so on, and pretty much the gist of it was for me to be Australia's number one. Get to the Worlds, and then that way we're already here, then give Q School a go and literally see what happens.
So that plan was already in place before you won the title?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, right. 2000, because we knew at that time as well that we would have to save like a load of money just so we didn't have to rely on anybody, didn't want to rely on anyone. We were doing it ourselves because it's just us two. And if we could save up enough money where we didn't have to rely on anything for, say, a year without earning $1, that would be perfect. So that was those were the plans in place at the time. And then obviously, come January, I think it was January or February was the first, February might have been, there's the first DPA tournament of that starting calendar year. All right, let's go for it. And so on and so forth. I was winning some, picking up. The next minute, I was number one, thing. And then I had the flexibility, obviously, playing the WDF stuff as well when it came on board, like the big tournaments there. So I was like, all right, I'll travel for a couple of these as well, and I'll do that, and just getting as much darts as I can. But also, I was working away. I ended up working away, and to get my practice in, I ended up buying like this cheap board off just some random on Marketplace or whatever, and it was like $10 or something. And I remember I made a makeshift bracket at work when I was working away to put on the door. We were staying at just like motel, so I put that on the door, and obviously the light was crap. There was no lighting. I was like, it's all dark in this bit. So I ended up getting like one of the lampshades and I ended up putting the chair over there and then opening up a door or putting something else on there and then putting the lampshade to shine at the board. So
you've always been the practical type.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I put and then obviously the door was in this little corridor bit, and I had to put tape on the floor to measure. Yeah, and then I just every time after work, then even doing a 12-hour shift, I was like, all right, now I've got to put an hour in. Boom, boom, boom. So I made time for darts and really put the time in, and it showed because I was my levels grew and I was winning tournaments and stuff, and I had a practice partner as well, where we were traveling together because we stayed in the same area, and I always made it my mission to beat him, his average, his 180s, his everything, and we just made like a joke of it, but made it like serious for me. Like that was another goal that I had. Instead of just winning the tournaments, I wanted to do more and more again. They're just another little focus, but. Yeah, 2019, I ended up winning. I won the Australian Masters there, which it was Jim Williams and Scott Mitchell that came in the Australian Masters that they came over for on the WDF side. And I was just a qualifier. I had to qualify, and then I had to get into it where some people got invited because they were on whatever ranking. But I didn't really know Jim or Scott Mitchell. I didn't know who they were, like type deal. So for me to go in fresh like that was probably a good thing, you know what I mean? And probably a bad thing for them not knowing who I was, because they probably took a relaxed more of approach going, oh yeah, we'll come up here and we'll pick up a couple of grand here and there. And for me to win that was massive. And that was just the week before the Brisbane Masters. So I ended up, I flew to Melbourne, drove 3 hours to Echuca in Moama, played in all that, flew back, done a week's worth of work, and then went back over to Brisbane, which was, 5-6 hours, and then
again on planes.
Yeah, and then
again on the planes.
So to win that, and then to fly and work, and then go and win that, and I was like it's just unreal. Like I'd never thought of stuff like that happening, and who knows, it might not ever happen again. So
confirmation to you though that you were making the right decision.
Yes.
You'd already decided, right? We're going to uproot ourselves. We're going to go to the UK. We're going to go to Q School. When you win those two tournaments, especially the one in Brisbane, the World Series, and you're thinking to yourself, right, I think we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, dare I say, that could have shown Megan, your lovely wife, that you were also making the right decision. If she wasn't necessarily on board going back a few years, she certainly was now, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, it just validated everything pretty much, going, we were right in the right direction. And at the end of the day, what it was as well for us, we don't have kids, or we're not going to have kids. So for us, everything was set. Had a house, had everything pretty much going for us. So for us just to have like a gap year, you could say, and give the darts a crack. And if it never worked out, we could always come back and we'd be in the same boat. That
was your attitude, was it, that you were going to go over for 1 year and see how it goes, and if it doesn't work out, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does work out, but that was in the back of your head, if this doesn't work out after 1 year, we'll go back.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then it worked out.
Yeah, somehow
you're still here.
Even if I didn't have a tour card, I was going to play Challenge Tour and stuff like that as well.
Right.
So, it was... Yeah,
how tough was it, Damon? Because you had a very sort of settled life in Australia, of course, family and friends and a good job and business and all that.
Yeah.
So how hard was it to sort of come to that decision in the end? Has it been tough?
I don't think it wasn't really... At the time and everything, it wasn't really that hard. It was, we have a plan in place, we've met the plan, let's just go do it. What's the worst that could happen? We go back. And that was pretty much like that side of things. That's where it was easy. The harder bits were probably later on when we did have it and happen, and then COVID happened and stuff like that. That's when it started becoming not hard, but then you realise how much you lose out. But before we get on to that bit, I just wanted to say, when I did the 2019 the DPA tour, I ended up getting a manager to sort. And it was, I have to throw out Greg Walsh. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. And we had like Team Misfits, we were called, and had a group of players, and he had all that, and travelled together and bunked together. And so it was a good vibe there with a group of players. And the only reason I ended up getting a manager was obviously because of the expenses and stuff. I didn't know how I was going to go. So I was like, all right, well, if he pays for everything, he can take whatever percentage to cover all that. And then that way, all I'm worried about is the points, the ranking, get to Ali Pally, get to Q School. So that was that side of things for that. So it made it, probably just took the pressure of actually winning money going to all the DPA events. So cheers.
And all these things I say little things, they're not little things, it's finances, isn't it? But when you have the backing of a sponsor or a manager or whatever, it does take pressure off you in that respect, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Is it fair to say without Greg, you wouldn't be here today? Do what you're doing, is that fair?
Yes and no, because I think I still would have went for it.
Yeah,
because that was always the plan. But to have Greg on board just made it
was important.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, it was vital at that time for you. So you come over and you win your tour card.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing it was just like, right, great. I'm here.
Yeah,
I've arrived.
Yeah.
And since then you've established yourself as one of the best players in the world. Especially on the floor, so many Pro Tour titles and European Tour champion. You won Euro Tour titles as well.
Yeah.
How much of an influence, Damon, was Kyle Anderson on your life? Because I know I remember back in, this would have been about 2018 odd time, I think. I was in like sort of quite a bad place at that time, if I'm honest, with a few things. And we happened to be travelling to a Euro Tour together. We were in the shuttle. We landed at whatever airport it was. We were in the shuttle. And he just started talking to me about his personal life and his childhood and the circumstances which he grew up in, the culture and the prejudice that he faced, I suppose, at the time growing up. And we ended up having a really good conversation about that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just sort of what he was saying to me, but it was the way he was saying it, the way that he was talking to me. And by the end of the conversation, I remember feeling a lot better about my personal circumstances that I was going through at the time that we kind of had in common with each other. And that's probably my best memory of Kyle amongst many, because he was such a character, wasn't he? And so full of life and humour.
Yeah.
When did you first meet Kyle?
Well, we met each other in primary school in about year one, something like that, where we were at the same school then, but then I ended up changing schools. So I didn't really catch up with him then until I was about 10 years old. And we ended up playing in the same basketball team outside of school area. So, and I only lived probably a 10, 15-minute bike ride, something like that, down the road. So we met up back then and we had like mutual friends then as well. And then we met back up in high school. And once I, like I said, about 14 or whatever, started throwing darts, then obviously Kyle was in the dart scene and
he was already playing darts.
Yeah, he was playing darts since he was 9 or something really? Like that. Okay. Yeah, and he was really good then, like beating up all the adults and stuff. So he was just really naturally gifted straight away. So I always probably now looking back is when he was traveling to go, and he did a lot of darts and he traveled for darts and obviously that when you weighed up looking, he's traveling doing all the darts, doing all that, and it was like, it's a dead end thing. Like, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? And then obviously he probably seen the bigger picture and where it was compared to what I seen it. Like, I was just like, he's at darts again. Right, yeah, great. Yeah, he can't hang out with it. He's at darts or he's gone here. Yes, but now looking back on it, it's like, well, he did make the right decision to do whatever, and then but just probably he probably never really pushed on as much as he probably should. I think he probably could have went the extra mile and done a bit more, and that's where you need to be. So he at the end of the day he would have had no regrets looking back, going, I gave it a fair crack and that. And then by the end of it, where you could see where it does take its toll, especially when this is where I think, like, because he had kids. That's where it becomes really tough, and that's where a lot of people are going to struggle from coming from Australia and New Zealand or down in that area to come across and give the tour a go. If you've got kids, I couldn't imagine. It's extra pressure again, and extra. All you have to do is look at Gigi, Gordon Glenn. You know what I mean? He had kids as well, which tried to bring him over and stuff. Obviously ran into a lot of difficulties as well, and then end up losing your card. And then, but you know what? He probably has no regrets because he's given it that fair crack. And I bet he's back in Oz now and back with his family and back to the same life, so to say. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he would have loved for it to all work out. But it's a massive gamble for some people. So
when you sort of you played in the World Series 2014, and then obviously you win in 2019. Was Kyle ever on to you saying, come over, Damo, come over with me, it's great, all this sort of thing? Was he always trying to persuade you? Did he
not,
know?
Not a great deal. He knew how good I was, and because I was always the shadow of him. Like he was always that next level. So I always like, he was the one always striving to beat all the time. Yeah, because he always set that standard, you could say. But he was the one over here when I finally came over. He was like hearing from other people that he was, you got to watch this guy. He's going to be good. He's going to, you know what I mean? So he was telling other people about me without me even like realizing or knowing until I've met these people, and especially to like Mac Elkin. So he was the one that got me probably more or less feeling comfortable in the scene straight from the get-go, because if it wasn't for him, mate, I wouldn't have the relationship I have with Mac now. And he's been a big influence as well. So, and that's from Kyle. So it was from day one walking into the room. I'm pretty sure Kyle probably wasn't there on day one when I first come in, but yet it was already laid out. Oh yeah, that's the table I'm sitting at, because they're the people that I like, Mac and all that. Walked straight in. Oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, sit down. Rather than going in, where do I sit? He's sitting and being alone in that situation.
Do you have a favourite story about Kyle that you can share with us? Is there an abiding memory that you have at all when you think of Kyle? So many, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. There's
many to choose from.
Yeah, just I don't know. We were always gaming a lot. Especially as we'd stay at each other's places and play the game till like all hours of the morning. I think we played one game for like, I don't know, it was like 14 hours straight, just because we wanted to try and achieve this something. I was like, looking back, like, no. But he was always, he was always never judged anybody, never, he was always everyone's friend, always with open arms, you know what I mean? He'd hug anybody, just any random, and then just always cracking a joke, always cracking, make anybody laugh, and it was always like the small things as well. Like it was never, only at certain times was serious moments, so to say. Yeah, he was always, he was just, one of the guys, I guess, and he just fit in anywhere. Yeah, it was good. So nothing really comes to mind about one story, to be honest,
It was just his qualities as a person, which are rare qualities, really, to find.
Yeah.
So we talk about Kyle Anderson there, and you've mentioned Megan already. Megan comes to every Pro Tour with you, every Euro Tour. She'll be here now where we're recording this, isn't she?
Yeah.
The pair of you are inseparable, aren't you? When did you meet Megan? How did you meet Megan?
Yeah, so we both met. We met in a nightclub, and we were both sober.
Oh, that's strange. That's a strange combination.
Yeah, look, we were driving that day. I was 18, both 18,
right.
And it was weird. It was through a mutual friend of mine. It was my best man at my wedding. He met us. He passed away young, and he worked with my missus' sister. So yeah. So and then they knew each other, and then that's how he knew my missus, Megan, and then introduced us. And Megan said to him, "Oh, what's your friend over there? Tell him to come over and say hello." And you know what I mean. And then so we said, "Oh, we got talking, got each other's number," and it was like, I'm pretty sure it was like the next night or the night after. Yeah, ended up went and seen her, and literally, like not been apart since then. It felt like we just moved in like the next day. That's how it felt anyway. So we're pretty inseparable from then. So 18, what am I now? 30. What am I? 30. So 20 years coming up. Yeah, 20 years being together. Crazy. Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah. So, but I could never have done this without her, to be honest. I don't think I would do it without her. Yeah, because she just left the other month. She was away for a month back in Oz, and I think I won 1 game out of 5 or something like that. Yeah, and I had a lot of people going, "Oh, he's miserable with you not here," and rah, and I was like, "Yeah, it just played its part, I guess." Yeah, So,
I mean, well, what about the future, Damon, for you now? Because do you have? I think I'm right in saying that your plan has always been at some point to go back to Australia. I'm guessing.
From the start, it was like, all right, let's give this thing 10 years. Let's see, like 10 years, that's a decent amount. That should be enough to whatever. Getting into it now, this is like my 5th 6th year on tour. It still feels like it's a short time frame. It still feels like there's so much to do. There's always another tournament. There's always, it doesn't feel like I've really been here that long, but I haven't. I'm trying to make it myself, really established, you would say. I'd like to think I'm pretty established, but it just feels everyone else is moving on with their lives as well. Knowing every time we go back home to Oz, everyone else is, doing their own thing, and it's more or less like every time we go back, it's like everything's moved on, but the same, if that makes sense. Like, I go back, we got the same house and all that as well, so we just go back there, and it's never like a massive big fuss every time we do go back home. So it is like everyone has moved on. So it's like...
Did you miss it, Damon?
I think more or less I just miss... It's not... I think I could live anywhere, me. I feel like I'm a chameleon. I could just live in anything, anywhere, and be whatever. That's me. So it's not that. It's obviously it's the family and friends. This is where we go back to before about saying... after the COVID times, and then you realise why things are hard. You think in your head, it's going to be hard, but you don't really take into account why it's going to be really hard. So COVID time and stuff like that.
Sorry to interrupt, Damon. Kyle's passing during COVID, that must have...
this is pretty much where, that's pretty much it there. It's the passing, right? So I didn't get to go to his funeral. Obviously, we did it all on cameras and stuff. My granddad died 2 days before I was playing at the Worlds. My dad's had issues, like he had cancer and stuff like that as well. I've lost both my dogs, and I couldn't see them, so to say. Only when I went home at whatever times. Like I said, I missed the COVID times of traveling back home for 2 years, or 2.5 years, or whatever it is since I went back. So and that's where most of the trouble happened. So I was like, well, what can I do? What can I? So I did as much as I could. Even financially, tried to do what I could. Family stuff now, going through some stuff as well with Megan's side of the family. It's even harder for her. That's what that's why she went back again and again. And I'm just saying to her all the time, I said, look, anytime you want to go back, just do it, because you're never going to get that time back. That's the thing, and that's more important than like darts feels like it's going to be there forever. I know you work on. I know that, like, I've worked on. You see the volatile of the ranking system and stuff like that. If you miss a month out or 2 months out and you're dropping money off, you're dropping out of say the top 16 and stuff like that, then you're not in so many tournaments. So it feels like you've done all this hard work just for something that's more important you go back for, and then you lose out here that you've just sacrificed 5 years for. And it's, this is what you're weighing up. So, But yet obviously my wife's not playing the darts. I'm like, it's any opportunity you get or anything you want, just go back. And like I said, it does take its toll, and these are the things that you realise this is what you're sacrificing now. This is what it is, and so these are the things.
There's more to life than darts, isn't there? And it's things like this that do sort of bring that home. And I think that brought it home for all of us during that COVID period, didn't it? We all had that time of reflection and all the things that we used to take for granted, like walking out the house. Quite frankly, at a time, we couldn't do anymore. We felt like we couldn't do anymore without certain restrictions or doing certain things that we never had to think about before. And you sort of come out the other side of that, and it makes you sort of more grateful for these little things. But of course, if something does happen in your personal life, then of course that is going to affect you on the dartboard, because your mind is elsewhere. You've not necessarily got that competitive fire in your belly because you're thinking of other things, and it is a difficult balance to weigh up, like you say. Was this ever your life plan, Did you ever see yourself, right, when I'm the age you are now, did you think, right, this is what I'm going to be if I guess not,
No way.
This is like a bonus, I suppose, or, totally from left field. But I if I may say so, Damon, I think there's still a lot more for you left to do in this sport before you do go back to Australia. I think there's a lot more for you to achieve. I mean, do you feel the same way? Do you still have your targets?
because the way I look at it at the moment, the way things have gone in my whole career is it's been like this. It's not really been a massive downturn, and I feel like I've always been a consistent, steady player. That's how I feel, and I just always feel like something like is always going to happen. Like it's always going to happen. Something's always going to happen. I'm always and I'm just like riding the waves, so to say. And we're always like it's still winging it as well, you could say, because there is every time we get more and more into a year, another into the sport, another year into the sport. Like I said, that 10 years is going to come up, and it's going to be like, well, we're probably silly to go home right now. And the good thing about being this side of the world is obviously travel. This was a big thing for us as well, to see the world, actually go and see it, rather than doing the hotel hopping and the darts hopping. Go a bit out there when the time's off, and if you can between tournaments, just jump in the car and go see the rest of the world. And as I said, traveling from this side of the world is so easy compared to obviously you've got to book well in advance.
We just had an hour and 15-minute flight yesterday. For you it must have felt like 5 minutes.
Brilliant. Like you know what I mean. And even driving, like I've driven a few times. I went to Switzerland for a holiday. And I drove across, went across the channel, went up to Holland, played in a tournament. Then we drove through, drove through, it was like 4 countries in one day, you know what I mean? Got to do that, and then, Switzerland, I did a little bit of Italy.
There's things like this, though, that without darts, we'd never be able to do, would we?
And these are the things that I'll probably more or less talk about, is not later on down the track, it wouldn't be about the darts, so to say. It'd be more about, I got to do this, I got to, I got to see this, and it was all the things outside of darts, you know what I mean? Playing golf with whoever, or, I went to watch the cricket, or because I could, or I could watch whatever sport because I could,
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, when I went to Australia in 2022, they were 3 of the best weeks of my life because of the things we did aside from the darts. The darts was great, obviously, but I don't really remember the darts. I remember going to see the Great Barrier Reef. I remember going shopping in the Queen Victoria Centre in Sydney, seeing the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge, going across to Manly Island, flew down to Queenstown in New Zealand after the New Zealand leg. One of the most beautiful places, if not the most beautiful place on earth, and it's all those kinds of things that I remember. I was kind of smiling when you were giving your answer to me earlier, because I mentioned to you about targets and things, but you were sort of dancing around the specifics of the targets that you have. So come on, Damon, love, I'm not going to let you off. I mean, so just throwing one out there, Premier League.
Ever offered? Like this. Great. Take it in a heartbeat. But it's never been a focus of mine. It's never been going, right, this year I'm going to make sure I get Premier League, and I'm going to do this and that, because it just comes. Like, you do all the right things, it's going to happen.
Oh yes, so if you're playing well and you're winning things, then everything else falls into place. So rankings, Premier League invites, World Series. You're just
going to add that extra pressure that's not really needed. To be fair, it's like I didn't watch Premier League when I was at home. That wasn't like an idle thing going, you know what I mean? It was always, I've always focus on my small goals, because they're the ones that you've got to achieve, that achieves the big goals. The big goals comes along once you achieve the small ones. So every year I have my goals, I have them written out. I have my normal goals, right? Let's say realistic goals. I have them ones. And then above it, I have like the shoot for the star goals. That happens, great. And I also have I have a separate set of goals, which is things that you can control, not resulted goals, because you can't control results. You can control what you do. And always on there is more or less health stuff, you know what I mean, how I'll go about that. And also presence on stage, and how I perceive myself on stage, and how I hold myself up, and what I should be, how my emotions should be, and how all that. So it's just things that I can control. So if I'm ticking all them boxes, then that would make it easier for the other boxes to be ticked. So I'd love, you know what I mean, get in that top 4 and Premier League and all that crap. I think it would be you know what I mean, and because I find myself pretty conditioned where I don't think I would be one to be like. To be burnt out, so to say. I mean, players, they talk about burnt out and playing too much and doing and but I see myself, I practice pretty much every day, 4 hours every day, 2 here and 2 there minimum, you know what I mean? Sometimes even more. So if I can just do that every day in general, and I always look back going, you know what, I did 12-hour days, 6 days a week, roofing. If I can't chuck darts for 12 hours a day, you know what I mean? Because I can always compare to back then. And I always even for looking back, if I'm down and out about where I am and what I'm doing and whatever, I just go, you know what, I've come this far, I could be doing this and I could be doing that. Man, I'm very lucky. hey, I'm throwing darts for a living. I'm doing this. I'm traveling. You know what I mean? And doing, even an exhibition. Man, you get paid half decent to do an exhibition. This is people that wanting to come see you for 4 or 5 hours to go chuck some darts and have a bit of fun. Hey, that's insane.
Absolutely. I mean, can I ask you, Damon? You've changed your walk on. I think that was, God, how long ago did you change your walk on? When you come out with the flame hair now, don't you? That was about 2 years ago,
I think, something like that. Yeah.
So you've changed your walk on and it goes down very well, especially in Germany.
Yeah.
But I've never heard the song. I must say, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. I must say. But the crowd respond to it and it's become something that you're known for now.
Yeah.
You do your daily dose of Damo on TikTok, sort of every day, doing various bits. Has there been a conscious effort on your part to sort of raise your profile, to change your image, has there been conscious reasons behind doing these?
Yeah, I think it stemmed ages ago about me just having fun on stage, and that's where I found I was playing my best darts, is being that relaxed rather than being stiff and serious and needing to win and all that extra added pressure. So I sort of just found myself what game I need to be playing and what I need to be doing, going up to the board rather than as walking on stage, like I said, being all rigid and everything. So that played its part. Then it was just going, all right, so if I need to do stuff like that, now I need people sort of to relate who I like, have that, he's the dude with the fire hat, rather than he's mixing it up all the time, because then people don't know, you know what I mean? Oh, what's he doing this time? But yet now to get that, we would see that persona that everyone can relate to and get in on the bandwagon of supporting the Heat and all that, so they can, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, the Heat's coming, let's get our fire wigs and let's get so that and then obviously the way the world is now with social media, like even what we're doing now, you know what I mean? This is the way it is. And so you just so what people see on TV, that's how they're going to perceive you, aren't they? So to do social media stuff is the way they're going to see outside of the darts, and maybe they'll see that and go, oh yeah, this is the guy. This is why this is this and this. So I think that's just the way the world is, and I don't mind doing it. Like it wasn't a thing to go, all right, I need to do this. Oh, what a drag. Yeah, I can't be bothered. All right, like. Obviously, some days I'm busy, like everyone. Life still goes on, you know what I mean? So it's hard to keep doing something every day. And you just got to have fun with it, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much what I'm doing, is having a bit of fun with it. And like I said, I enjoy it, and it just gives people something to show who I am and relate to, I guess, because I do normal things as well, like everyone else. And that's what I said. They can just relate.
I mean, my final question to you, Damon, sort of goes back to something that I asked you a short while ago, but that idea of going to the next level, do you feel like that next level is in you? I mean, you had a 9-darter, didn't you, at the World Championships? You know, what were your memories of that?
Oh, brilliant, the best thing I remember.
What goes through your mind when you're aiming for double 12? Is the answer nothing?
Yeah, it's to me at that time, it was the crowd. I was thinking of the crowd. I was just wanting the crowd noise. So I didn't think about, like, because I missed it the game before on the double 12.
Yes.
But that never popped in my head, thankfully, because I think I would have. I think that's what would have happened.
I did that on my first dart, not the 9. Yes.
Yeah. So to me, all I was that. Every time a dart goes into the treble, all you could hear is the crowd. Rah! It's great. And then it's silent because they're like, come on, go in. Rah! And I was like, that's the only sound I wanted to hear. So when that was already in my mind going, the crowd's going to say that, rather than thinking they're going to go boo, I was thinking, yeah. So it was already a positive vibe, and I just kept the rhythm going. Boom, boom, boom. And I had some mates there from Oz as well. And man, it was electric. The worst thing, obviously, it just took some stuff out of me afterwards. So the next few legs, I ended up winning that set. I think I won another set. Next minute, I'm 3 sets, 1 up. We have a break and all that as well. I remember coming off the break, and probably the worst thing I did was sit down and go, all right. I thought it was the right thing, but to me, I think it was the wrong thing. I sat down. I was like, all right, just calm down. Let's just get on with the game, get the win, move on. That's it. And so I've calmed myself down. Probably too much, because I've gone on stage. I was like, why am I so flat? Well, I've hit a 9-darter. I'm 3-1 up. Let's get the job done. And then I was probably only 3-2 up. Then it was 3-3. I'm like, what have you done? Like, then the thoughts start coming in your head. I'm like, I just went through the motions of things like it's going to happen, rather than foot on the gas, foot on the throat, smash it. Like that's how. So that it was a massive learning curve. So and I didn't think I was going to react the way I did with the 9 darter. To be honest, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to play it cool. Just do like a James Wade, grab your darts, turn around. Yeah, great. Let's get on with it. No.
Luke Woodhouse celebrated.
Oh yeah, did I know it? Yeah,
you did. That was a great moment.
And he was trending more than me. I was like, oh, great.
Stole your thunder.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, he was expecting a half a cut, I think.
Yeah. Oh, no, fantastic. Well, I'm sure, Damon, if I may say so, you've got a lot of years left in you in this sport, and long may your career continue, because I think you're a smashing player and a smashing guy. So thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Cheers for having me, mate. And I really hope, I get bigger than I am one day. That'd be great.
Oh, let's have you back on. Let's have you back on this time next year. And I'll be saying to you, Damon, so tell me about your world final win.
Yes.
Would be fantastic. I would love that.
I would hold you to it. Don't you worry.
Thanks, Damon.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching and downloading this episode. I do hope that you enjoyed it. And thanks as ever to our partners at Pluto TV. Download the Pluto TV app now and start streaming on your smart television. Non-stop darting action, as well as thousands of movies and shows for you to enjoy. The link is in the show description. Subscribe to not miss an episode if you haven't already. We'll see you very soon for the next one. Bye-bye.